Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply, and this is the Leather Element. If you've got a good question for us or a good idea for a leather element, drop it in the comment box below. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So we're going to take a look at some gorgeous clasps and closures. Now, 3 points to this video. First off, if we want to take our project up a step, the right closure, absolutely going to do it. Point 2, if we want to go full on high end, we absolutely can. We're using the same hardware the high end folks are. And point 3, the biggest, nothing here is difficult, but the outcome to our project, all the difference in the world. So let's start with one that's a perfect example of all 3 points. This is a beautiful closure. Looks good, easy to add, easy to line up. This is called a flap catch, simply because that is just going to sit on our flap. We've got 2 set screws on the back, magnetic, and on this side, we just have 2 tines to deal with. Easy enough to drop that in. So, on this side, when we set this, a pattern, very easy way to go. Because all we need is a center mark. Now, I'm going to mark this on the back side to line this up. Good. And I'm going to use my awl just to make a mark. Yeah, there we go. I think the camera can see that. Okay, so we know where we're centered. Let's bring this in. And I'm going to center it to that mark. Good. Okay, now, set screws. If we've ever worked with these, yes, those can be scary. First off, side note, whenever we open a new bag of closures, if we're not sure if it's got tines or set screws, let's open that bag very carefully. We want to make sure we get these out. We can sneeze and those will disappear. Now, to set these, we're just going to use a small screwdriver from an inexpensive eyeglass repair kit. We can find these at just about any pharmacy, grocery store, and it's always got the small screwdriver in it. Now, what I'd like to do is I'm going to line that up. All right, hold it. Let's take our awl, because those have a pretty sharp point on it. I'm going to press that into the leather. That'll help us get that screw started. Now, let's be very careful here, but in all honesty, these are not that bad. So we can drop that down in and screw that down. Good. And let's screw those down flush. Yeah, okay, so nothing difficult there. Yeah, I'm getting some fingerprints on it. We can always clean that off. Now, on the other side, easy enough to make a pattern here as well. Again, we just need a center mark. So I'm going to mark that. Good. Now, let's take our tines, and I'm going to straddle that mark, press those tines in. Yeah, we can see exactly where that needs to land. Now, let's go over to a cardboard pallet and our art knife. Now, I'm going to make slits. Now, those are pretty good sized tines. So let's make sure we get a good slit in this, but at the same time, I don't want more slit than tine, or we'll be able to see that. So let's flip that around. Yeah, make sure we get good open slits there. Okay, now let's push this through and press that down in. Good, looks flush. What we can do is flip this over. Let's press that down on the inside and the outside of those tines. See if we can get that to sit as clean as possible. Now let's come in with our little backing plate. Drop that in. Now let's bring our tines inward. Good, we've got that. So now, yeah, that's actually a pretty secure closure. It's got some good strength to it, and I love the black on the brown. That's gorgeous. Now, 1 point here. These are typically for 7 to 8 ounce, maybe 8 to 9 ounce leather. What we can do, if we've got a thinner weight, we can always line that. Say we've got a chrome, 3 to 4 ounce, bring in a suede behind that. That will be ample. But here's where I'm going with this. Say we are going to use a lighter weight leather. Well, we could drop that in, but notice how much extra room there is behind that. What we can do, let's just cut another little patch. There we go. And actually, that takes up the room nicely and actually looks like we went to the trouble to do that. Or how about this? Let's flip that around. Maybe do some kind of a cool little design. Yeah, sew that in, connect that. That would look pretty good. All right, so next up, let's go to two relatively common closures. And over to one of my all-time favorites. This is called a tuck catch. We've seen this in some of our videos, but again, super easy to line up. Same construction as the flap catch, because this piece is going to go on the bottom of our flap, and then our catch, again, same thing. We've got two tines and a backing plate. That's just going to snap together. Boy, that looks good. Great point here. We've got these in multiple finishes, multiple sizes, and multiple levels of quality. In fact, we can tell the quality here, right there. We've got two set screws. That looks good. Now, one thing I love about these, they look great on the end of a strap as well. That looks good, okay? So, same construction there, nothing difficult, but now we're going to step it up a little bit. Now we're going to go with what's called a drop lock, because this will be on our flap. We'll drop that over, and then that's going to drop down. That's a good looking closure there. Got this cool roped edge on it. Again, a nice quality piece. The downside here though, we're going to have to punch a hole that's going to look like that. Easiest way to do this, let's just make a pattern, because with our pattern sheeting, I can lay that in behind, I can see that, then I can draw. Now we can absolutely cut that, or there's a couple of ways we can go here. So first off, I've got this line. Now this would typically be on our pattern, but I've just got 1-inch crosshatch here, so I can line this up for our example. But let's bring that right down. I'm going to center that 1 inch from the bottom. Now with our marking pen, yeah, there we go. That's what we need. The good thing here though, we've got a little extra room for error. In fact, the next one we see, we've got a lot of room for error. So this hole doesn't have to be exactly perfect. When we drop in that backing plate there, that's going to cover it. Now, we can absolutely cut that. We can go with our art knife or a box knife, but here's an interesting way to go. I've got our 1/4 inch round hole. Okay, yeah, we've got set screws. I need to be careful with those, but now let's go over to our 25mm corner knife, and let's just cut that out between our holes. Now again, we can cut this, but really this is a relatively easy way to go. So now that's actually going to sit right down in there nicely. And again, it does not have to be perfect. So now let's take our backing plate, and we've got our small screws. Good, those are tight. Okay, now we drop our flap down, and there we are. That's a good looking closure. I love the detail of that roped edge. That looks good. All right, now let's step it up one more time. We've worked with a flap catch and a drop lock. Now we're going to combine the two for a flap drop lock. And it's just as easy as everything else. So we're going to call this our flap. We're going to need a notch here, 3/8 of an inch by 2 1/8 inches. So for our flap, here's our flap piece. On the back, we've got our set screws. So it's easy to tell what the front and the back is. Let's flip that around and set that in our cut. Yeah, there we go. Well, that already looks very cool, high-end and professional. We set 4 screws and we're done there. On the pocket side, nothing different here. We've got tines and a back plate. But with this, our tines are very wide. I don't necessarily want to try to find our center mark and then straddle that to try to get it centered. So how about we do this? Let's measure it out. Now I know where my tines need to be. We'll never mark that on the face of that. We can use our marking pen, but it's just not going to be an accurate cut. How about we flip that? Good. Now let's mark where our tine holes will be, and we'll slit from the back side. And let's just make sure we've got very wide slits, because right there, notice how wide that tine is. We want to have enough slit for that to get through. But again, we don't want more slit than tine. We could see that. Now, this is hard to see when we flip this over. So what we can do, yep, that's where our pattern is. In fact, right there, I can now see where one tine is. And if we can find one, we can find the other. And let's add our back plate. And now let's bend our tines. Now I may say let's use a tool that's a little more substantial than our art knife, because those are larger, thicker, but that's a sign of a quality piece of hardware. Now there's no up or down on this piece, so let's drop in our flap. There we go. That looks good. Very professional, very finished. Now if I can wipe the fingerprints off of it, yeah, there we go. But the best part about this, to set a closure of this caliber, yeah, nothing difficult. There's no closure we can't set now, because we know how to add to a flap, we know how to cut a hole, we can certainly add our back plate, bend our tines around. Now there's some a little more complicated than others, but we can do it. Right here, we've got a very cool closure, but that's going to be a difficult hole. Well, actually not. We know how to make a pattern. So right there we go, sits in there nicely. But one good point, most every one of these, we've got room for error. So that hole doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, right here, and on these closures, at Weaver, we're not even scratching the surface. But with that, we can simply make a pattern. There we go. And that back plate is going to sit right there. So again, nothing difficult about setting any one of these beautiful closures. The right closure can absolutely make a project, and as we've seen, there's nothing difficult about adding these. Couple, going to take a little bit more time, but the outcome of our project, absolutely worth it. I hope you see something here you like. Thanks for taking time to watch The Leather Element. Good luck with your projects.